of shadow each other at a lot of these events and hear the same talking points. I'm chairman of the board in Stafford County. Stafford is part of the Fredericksburg region. We're just below Prince William County. We like to say that we're not a part of Northern Virginia. We are kind of like that final red line in the state. In both 2008 and then in this last presidential election, Stafford County stayed red, and we actually increased our numbers for Mitt Romney over John McCain. So Stafford County certainly, we like to say is the last of the red line, and what seems to be creeping down, farther and farther in our Commonwealth. I did attend Mary Washington College, and I met my husband Dan my senior year there. And Dan's story is, just an ability to live out the opportunity here in America. He was an enlisted Marine and went in when he was 17 and had the opportunity to go to the Naval Academy. And that's how we met my senior year. And we married, and as he served around the nation, we had just had an opportunity to live in different places, and during that time I ended up getting my master's in public administration and was able to work at different places in California. I worked for the California State Senate Republican leader at that time, Rob Hurt, a very conservative, pro-life senator that was there. So we've lived in different places, but we came back to Virginia because that's home for us. Both of us just, we love this state, and we're raising our two kids. My daughter is 16 and my son is 13. And so anyway, how does that relate to where we are today? For our family, obviously, freedom is sacred. We've done a lot to help protect freedom, especially my husband. And all Republicans who are running for office right now, they talk about limited government, but I've done it. But how many government officials do you know that are willing to vote themselves less power? Because the bigger the bureaucracy, the more personnel, the bigger the budget, the more power and control the government official has. But a limited government keeps the power where it should be, and that's with the people. And the Founding Fathers understood this human nature, this natural tendency to want to have power and control, so they devised a separation of power. It was a hedge against tyranny, to protect our freedom and our choices, to choose what's best for us and for our family. Because true liberty allows us to be everything that God intended us to be. And in Stafford County, and in my role as the government official, I've done everything that I can and have voted to decrease my power. It's easy to say that you're going to do something, but you never really know what someone's going to do until they've been elected into office and they've been pushed on these issues and they've been tested by fire on them. We've consistently voted to decrease our power in Stafford County. The first thing we did when the Republicans took the majority on the board in 2010 was we cut our pay by 25%. We then abolished an onerous business tax called B-Poll. We're the largest county in the Commonwealth that does not charge that tax. We took our staff of general admin down to 2004 levels. We actually had a budget that was less than the year before. And that was the first time that had happened in Stafford County since 1965. And so what were the results? Conservative governing works. We jumped to #1 in job growth. We've had millions of dollars in economic revenue and surplus that we've been able to take and lower additional taxes. Whether we've eliminated impact fees, zeroed out tax service districts, eliminated the boat tax, you name it, we're systematically reducing taxes in Stafford County. And the result is an economic and job growth. We have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the Commonwealth and also in the nation. And it's not just because of our location to D.C., certainly that's part of it, but the surrounding localities have the same benefit that we do, if you want to call it that. But we've been a leader in that area. And we actually had a bond rating upgrade. Less than 2% of the entities that Fitch looked at ended up getting a bond rating upgrade. But that's just economics. I'm 100% pro-life. And in my position as a supervisor, we had a time where there was a zoning that was relaxed around the hospital. We wanted to make it easier for doctors to be able to come in and locate an office there. But I made sure that we had strict land covenants that restricted abortion clinics in Stafford County. So I have led on this issue, and I've been a watchdog for life, because I believe that life has intrinsic value. I believe life has intrinsic value, and that's reflected in the way that I govern. Every person matters. I also believe that we need to have education reform, specifically for homeschoolers. Not just vouchers, but choice, and that would include tax credits for homeschooling families. In Stafford County, we've addressed the education issue. You would have thought that the sky was going to fall and the world was going to end because we were going to cut taxes and reduce staff. But our schools have been a priority for us. The one thing that we did, though, was we categorically funded the instruction line and technology. So that protected the classroom, but forced cuts in the general admin. There are creative things you can do if you know a budget and you're willing to dig in and root through the budget, and that's what we did. I'm also 100% states' rights, property rights, and gun rights, including constitutional carry. So if you look at the Senate, that's typically been a graveyard for conservative principles. I'm sure as you know, there have been plenty of bills that would have upheld life or even tax cuts that quietly die in committee. So as the role of Lieutenant Governor, what would I do? Well, right now we have a 20-20 tie, and especially in that first year after the election, it's going to be so important to lead on the issue. My philosophy and my vision is whatever position of authority the people have put me in, I'm going to do everything I can to move the ball forward on our conservative principles. It's not just about taking a vote, it's about showing leadership. And I will push back on any of these federal overreaches, especially regarding the Obamacare health care. Right now, there's a loophole that exists that they weren't able to address because Senator Ted Kennedy had gotten sick. So when it was time for it to come back, they weren't able to make any changes to Obama's health care legislation. The loophole is if we in Virginia don't set up the health care exchange, then our small businesses are not subject to the penalty of the Obamacare. I will do everything within my power to push back on that federal overreach to not set up these health care exchanges. Let me give you a prime example. In Stafford County, I'm on the Finance Committee, and we were briefed on the impacts of this health care legislation. Here's what small businesses are going to have to do. It's what we're going to have to do as the county. We have to look at each employee, we have to look at the poverty rate, and we have to look at that person's household income. We then have to look at the cost of health care to that person. If they are paying more than 9.5% of their salary, we have to make up the difference. If we don't, then we are penalized for it. But not just for that one employee, but for all of the employees in the county. This is an assault on our liberty in so many ways, whether you want to look at it as an assault on how it's going to just kill jobs. My thought as I was listening to that briefing is, how in the world are small businesses going to absorb this, number one? And number two, we don't even know some of the regulations that are coming down. One of the things that they told us in Stafford County that currently the employees are allowed to have contraception, but they pay a co-pay fee. In the new legislation, we will be responsible for 100% of contraception. And there's another factor that's being added into it. We are also going to be responsible for preventative services. And I asked for the definition of preventative services, and it cannot yet be defined. But coming soon, we're also going to have to pay for it. So this healthcare legislation is an assault on our liberties in so many ways, including the job-killing taxes that are going to come with it, as well as an assault on our religious liberties to have to pay for something that goes against our beliefs, and that's just not American. So that is definitely something that I will do as Lieutenant Governor, not just take a vote that breaks the tie, but actually lead on issues of moving the ball forward on these conservative principles. And there's also a battle that we don't take up, and that's the bureaucratic growth. Every day there's a bureaucracy battle. I had a friend that told me at the beginning, because I just dove right in, into the budget and taking on the bureaucracy. He said, you're not going to be able to defeat the bureaucracy. It's going to wear you down. You just need to stop. Well, he was right, the bureaucracy is strong, but he was wrong. The bureaucracy can be constrained. It just takes someone who has courage, someone who is vigilant and willing to do it, and someone who believes in that. And I believe very strongly in the principle of a limited government and the fact that I want to do everything that I can to preserve your freedom, my family's freedom, because that's the authority that the people have given me as I'm making these decisions. So you can believe that I am going to be a watchdog for your liberties, and I have a record to show that. The Senate is one thing. I also think that there's something that we need to think about as we're thinking about this next election. I think that our party needs young and energetic leadership on the ticket. I think that we need to have people who are willing to engage the culture on these issues. I'm willing to engage. I've done it in my position as the chairman of the board. And I think that we need to be persuasive on these issues. Part of the problem is we've tried to just be careful and step back and not talk about these issues. But why would we not talk about them? We know that we're right on these issues. We should lead on these issues, and we should persuade on these issues. And so that's the other factor that I think I'm bringing to the ticket. I'm going to be great on the campaign trail, and I'm going to be even better in office. So I just appreciate this opportunity that I've had to be able to speak with you. And I just want you to know that I'm going to work very hard to represent you and to take those conservative grassroots principles that I know you and I have fought for over so many years and turn them into good governing policy for the state. I want the same success for all of Virginia that we've had in Stafford County. So I would love to have your vote for Lieutenant Governor. Thank you.